Ahoy, mateys! We're about to uncover one of the biggest mysteries of the pirate world. Imagine being on a ship in the middle of the vast, endless ocean. Water is everywhere, yet you're dying of thirst. This was the pirates' reality. But how did they survive? The answer is not what you think. Why not just drink seawater? Seawater is full of salt and other minerals that would kill a person if they drank it. It would only worsen dehydration, making you even sicker. Why did they drink so much alcohol? Alcohol, like rum and grog, was a status symbol, but it had a practical use. It didn't spoil as quickly as fresh water. It helped mask the terrible taste of stale water and provided a sense of comfort. Pirates and sailors were not just brawlers, they were clever survivors. They knew that relying on alcohol was not enough. They used several ingenious methods to get clean water. Rainwater harvesting. The most effective method was collecting rainwater. They would use the ship's sails, tarps, and other canvas materials to create a guttering system. The rainwater would flow into large barrels below the deck, and sometimes they would even use the dirty sails as a natural filter. This rainwater was their primary source of clean drinking water, and it was a critical task for the crew. Even collected rainwater could go bad after some time. To prevent this, they would often mix it with a small amount of rum or beer. This mixture was called grog, and the alcohol acted as a preservative, killing harmful bacteria and keeping the water fresh for longer.
It's working!
Although rare, some ships knew how to distill seawater into fresh drinking water. This process involved boiling seawater in a large pot, collecting the steam in a separate pipe, and then cooling it back into a liquid form. However, there's a catch. This method was very fuel-intensive, requiring a lot of wood and coal, which was not always available on long voyages. That's why it was not a common practice. So the popular myth that pirates only drank rum is not completely true. It was a part of their daily life, but they were equally reliant on a clean water supply. The surprising truth: pirates knew that water was their most precious resource. They had to be extremely clever about how they conserved and created it. They learned to adapt, and they used every resource at their disposal, from the sails on their ships to the rain from the sky. The story of how pirates got clean drinking water is a testament to human ingenuity. It proves that even in the most challenging conditions, people can find a way to survive. Here's a bonus fact. Do you know that ancient Greek and Roman sailors would sometimes put fish into their drinking water barrels? The fish would eat any algae or other microbes, keeping the water fresh. Imagine being at sea for weeks or even months. You can't just dip a bucket into the ocean and drink. Salt water is deadly, and contaminated water from poor storage can quickly make a ship's crew sick. Pirates had to plan ahead. Ships carried barrels of fresh water, known as casks, before setting sail. These barrels were usually made of oak or pine and could hold hundreds of gallons. But here's the catch: fresh water doesn't stay fresh forever. Without proper care, water could become stagnant, taste foul, and grow harmful bacteria. Pirates knew this, and they developed clever techniques to keep their water safe. The first step was storage. Water was kept in wooden barrels, tightly sealed with pitch or wax to prevent leaks. Barrels were stored in the coolest part of the ship, usually the hold, to slow down bacterial growth. Pirates didn't have refrigeration, but they had other tricks. Sometimes barrels were partially filled with a bit of rum or vinegar. The alcohol or acid didn't make the water taste great, but it helped kill bacteria and keep the crew from getting sick. Another method was to rotate the barrels. The crew drank from barrels in rotation, using the freshest first. Some ships even lined barrels with tin or lead to prevent wood from imparting unpleasant flavors. Dangerous by modern standards, but it shows how resourceful they were. Water was precious. Pirates rationed it carefully. A typical sailor might get only a few pints per day, sometimes less on long voyages. But barrels could only last so long. Pirates also had to source water while at sea. One common method? Rainwater. Sailors stretched sails or tarps to collect rain, funneling it into barrels. It was fresh, usually clean, and a welcome relief from stale stored water. Pirates also raided coastal towns and ports, not just for treasure, but for water. Stopping at islands allowed them to refill barrels from streams and wells. But they had to be careful. Some water sources were contaminated or guarded by locals. And yes, pirates knew basic filtration. They would pour collected water through cloth, sand, or even charcoal to remove dirt and debris before drinking. Primitive by modern standards, but it worked well enough to keep the crew alive. Even with clean water, long voyages brought another danger: scurvy. This disease, caused by vitamin C deficiency, could kill sailors faster than any enemy ship. Water alone couldn't prevent scurvy, but pirates learned to supplement it with fresh fruits, vegetables, or even sauerkraut when possible. Some crews carried lemons or limes specifically to prevent scurvy, a practice later adopted by the British Navy. This shows that water and nutrition were deeply connected. A pirate's survival depended on both. Clean water was more than a thirst quencher. It was life itself. Pirates who ignored water safety quickly fell victim to disease, dehydration, or worse. Some pirates got even more creative. On long voyages, they experimented with distillation, boiling seawater and capturing the steam to produce fresh water. These early desalination methods were rare but remarkable for the time. Other odd habits included mixing small amounts of beer or wine with water. Not just for taste, alcohol could help purify the water slightly. Of course, this also meant pirates were often a little tipsy, even when trying to stay hydrated. The ingenuity of pirates showed.
And if you enjoyed learning about the incredible ingenuity of pirates, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to The Sleeping History.